Alright, so today, I want to talk about Walt Disney World attractions that are so obscure or difficult to do that you probably haven't done them or even know that they exist. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're probably quite familiar with these parks and have done mostly everything. But I wanted to go a little deeper and try to find attractions that elude even Walt Disney World experts. You might immediately think of something like the Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse, which the average person in the park avoids. Admittedly, it does bother me when people smugly say that this is a waste of time, or that they complain that there's too many stairs, because this really is one of the better themed experiences within Disney, even if it often gets overlooked. Other obscure Disney attractions you might think of may include the now demolished Tom Sawyer Island, which it seems crazy to me that people would frequent the park and had never gone here, or weirdly, I'm always surprised by how many hardcore Disney planning people have never heard of the American Adventure in Epcot, which is an ambitious animatronic show covering American history. Along with the screen-based theater attractions in the park like Reflections of China, Canada Far and Wide, or Awesome Planet, you might consider everything I've mentioned to fall into obscure Disney attractions, but I disagree, as in you've probably experienced all of these at least once, or at least heard of them. What I'm looking for are attractions that are elusive even to Walt Disney World superfans. And to start, I wanted to talk about the rides at Disney Springs. If you're confused and have no idea what I'm talking about, then that's a good start. But if you do know what I'm referencing, chances are that you still haven't done them. The first attraction you might recognize is the Marketplace Train Express, and unless you have really young children with you, yeah, you probably haven't done this. The ride system was manufactured by Zamperla. It was installed in 1996, right next to the building that is now Disney Pin Traders. It's actually quite expensive to ride, as it's $5 for one token, which allows one rider, so for a parent and one child to ride this, it's going to be $10 unless you spend $20 at the kiosk to get 6 tokens. There's not much to say about the train, as it just loops in a small circle for roughly 2 minutes. But I think it fits the category of obscure Disney attractions that you likely haven't done. If you go around the corner, there's also the Marketplace Carousel, which is manufactured by Birdizon, but I can't find the date that it was installed. I think it's probably safe to assume that this likely premiered around the same time as the train though, and one of the things that I find interesting about this is how with the Disney Springs overhaul of Downtown Disney, it appears that the murals on the exterior of the carousel have been repainted to reflect different locations around Disney Springs. That's a detail I never noticed before taking a closer look at the ride, but for being a small little attraction, I think it's pretty fun. There's a nice variety to the horses, one stationary seat, and a cup that you can sit in that spins when you turn the disc. The pricing here is the same as the train as it uses the token system, and between both of them, I think they count as obscure Disney attractions that you've never experienced, because while you've maybe walked by them, you've also likely never bothered to ride. I wanted to start here with the train and the carousel, because as we go deeper into the video, the attractions will become more and more obscure, where at the end, I think I found something that almost nobody knows of. So please leave a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go even deeper to find the most obscure Walt Disney World attractions that you've never done. The next part of the video brings us to Epcot, and I want to go through some of the museums that exist within the park. While the American Adventure still flies under the radar for a lot of people, I think that enough have done it to at least recognize the show. And like most people, if you were waiting for the next showtime, you probably also wandered around the pavilion to see the museum, which rotates exhibits and artwork every few years. I also feel that a fair number of people have seen the Beauty and the Beast sing-along in the France Pavilion, and have maybe looked into the glass cases of movie and theater costumes based on stories adapted by Disney Animation. Because of this, I don't think I'll count these two displays as obscure attractions, because there's a decent chance you may have already experienced them on your way into the shows. However, if we move over to the Norway Pavilion, I think that a lot of people may be surprised to learn about Gods of the Vikings, an exhibit that exists within the Stave Church along the pathway. Despite its architectural prominence, I don't think that most people know that you can just open the door and go in here, but inside, you'll find a small exhibit that covers Norse mythology. In the center, one of the first features you'll notice is a carved wood pillar displaying various deities, and while their names are written in Nordic runes, I believe that they depict Odin, Thor, Freya, and Loki. On the west side of the exhibit, there's a mannequin labeled as the Seeress, who sits on the rocky shore of a fjord, and on the other side of the room, there's a series of glass cases. From left to right, they cover Odin, Thor, Yggdrasil, Loki, and Freya, with each display case sharing stories about these aspects of Norse mythology, as well as what I believe are real artifacts. I'm not going to go into detail about the information in each display, as I think it's something that you should discover for yourself, but while small, I do think that this exhibit does count as an obscure Disney attraction. It's not deep in the list because I think it has gotten some small degree of popularity on social media, so instead, let's move over to Magic Kingdom for the Railroad Museum. This is located under the train station at Main Street, USA, and the only reason it's not further down the list is because you might have spotted it while on your way to board the train, or you may have walked through here to get to stroller rentals. The various display cases feature objects related to historical railroad travel, and because Walt Disney famously loved trains and model railroads, he of course plays a part in this history as well, with that love for the craft evolving into the larger idea that eventually became Disneyland. In my opinion, it's interesting to look at the different maps of historical railroad routes across the United States, and naturally, you'll see information about the locomotives used in the park, which have a bit of historical significance, as they used to run routes through Mexico in the 1920s. In addition to photos, artwork, and stamps related to the locomotive industry, one of the more interesting features here is the train bulletin, which is a fun themed piece with destinations as if this were a real train station. One of the fun aspects here are the Easter eggs referencing canceled Disney projects or defunct attractions, like the Rainbow Caverns from Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, the Western River Expedition, or the train line that used to run through Fort Wilderness. I'm not really the kind of person who's interested in trains, but there's a fair amount to look at here, and I think it easily counts as an obscure Disney attraction. Nearby is also the Main Street Fire Station, and honestly, I'm surprised that current Disney hasn't put in like a pin shop or something in here. There's not a lot to see, but the back wall is decorated with gear used by early 20th century firefighters who were transporting water with wagons and horses, and on the walls, there are many display cases filled with patches from various fire departments around the US. There are also a few historical photos of firefighters as well, but really not much else. It's not the most interesting attraction out there, but I do think it counts as one, and because most people have never thought to walk in here, I'm going to posit that you might not have done so either. Returning to Epcot, the last obscure museum attraction I wanted to highlight is in the Morocco Pavilion, which itself is probably the least traveled area of the park. That's actually a bit of a shame, because it's one of the most immersive pavilions that feels like it has a sense of depth to it. But if I told you that there was an attraction right at the front, would you even know what I'm talking about? If you're looking in, to the left is an exhibit space that, just like the Stave Church, feels hidden because you need to pull a door open to go inside. The exhibit seems to change every so often, but right now it's called Race Against the Sun. Walking inside, you'll instantly notice a driving simulator built to showcase the Rally of the Gazelles, an actual off-road race in southern Morocco where only women are allowed to compete. To the left is a display case that features racing equipment along with photos, and moving further in, there's a series of displays showcasing the achievements and athleticism of women who compete in the Marathon of Sands, which also takes place in southern Morocco in the Sahara Desert. On the opposite side of this exhibit is a small section that highlights historical Berber people who lived nomadic lifestyles in the desert. It provides information about their way of life and culture, tying into a theme of conquering the harsh desert and leading into the sports displays that otherwise fill this exhibit. It's definitely worth checking out, especially since I think that the Moroccan pavilion is often overlooked. But while you may have encountered other museums in Epcot or even the Gods of the Vikings, the one here in Morocco is something that no one ever knows what I'm talking about when I mention it. Still, I think that I haven't hit the bottom for obscure Disney attractions yet, and so there's a bit more to talk about that I doubt you'll expect. Returning to Main Street USA, while you may have accidentally walked through the train museum or briefly popped into the firehouse, I think it still hides another attraction that most people will have never seen. Right in the middle of Main Street and on the right, there is the Crystal Arts Shop, and while you've maybe browsed in here before, you need to go into the back to see the next attraction, which only has limited show times. It doesn't have a name or is even present on the Disney app, but every so often, glass blowers will come out and walk you through the process of creating the various glass display pieces that you can buy in the shop. It's a roughly 6-minute presentation where a cast member from the Crystal Arts will come up and ask them questions to guide the show. Although I think that if there's a small crowd, they'll probably take people's questions as well. This demonstration is one of those things that's a lot more entertaining in person than if I just described what I saw while reviewing my footage. But if you would like to see this attraction for yourself, you can go to this area of the shop where they'll have a board telling you the next time that they'll come out. As Main Street USA has lost its theming and has turned into essentially a giant Disney store, it's nice to see little pockets of theming here and there, and the glass blowers do a really great job of adding depth to Main Street that often lacks elsewhere. Still, I don't think that this is the absolutely most obscure Walt Disney World attraction, and to find the last one on my list, you need to go to Animal Kingdom and travel to Rafiki's Planet Watch. This area is already the least popular part of the park, as you need to take the train to get there, and people don't see it as a priority because it has no rides. So that's why I think that the attraction located here counts as the most obscure at Disney. If you walk outside of the building into the petting zoo, you might notice the stage with a sign calling it the Animal Encounter. Sitting down on one of the benches, if you're here for one of the showtimes, Animal Kingdom cast members will come out with one of the animals. Because Rafiki's Planet Watch is essentially a look behind the scenes into veterinary care in Animal Kingdom, Animal Encounter continues this theme by talking about the animal that the caregivers bring out, while showing how the animal has been trained to perform certain behaviors so that they can go through various health checks. In the first showing, they brought out what I believe they said was a North American porcupine, and for the second show, they brought out an African crested porcupine, both of which were pretty interesting. I don't know if they bring out different animals on different days, because I could not find any information or video of this demonstration online, but I think it's fairly safe to assume that they showcase a variety of animals depending on the needs of the park, and that the complete lack of information about this show online reinforces that this is definitely the most obscure Walt Disney World attraction that even your hardcore Disney planner won't know about. It's just one of those charming little things that you'll enjoy if you happen to encounter it, and I think that extends to pretty much everything else on this list. Whether you're riding the Marketplace train or the carousel with a young child at Disney Springs, accidentally stumbling upon a museum at Epcot or the Magic Kingdom, or finding yourself encountering the glass blowers at Crystal Arts, or being beckoned over to watch a porcupine get a health checkup, none of these are really a priority that you would go out of your way for, but I do think count as attractions within the parks. If you've done all of these, I'll be very impressed, and if you have any suggestions for other incredibly obscure attractions around Walt Disney World, I would be interested to know if there was anything I missed, and hopefully through this video, you learned about something that was new to you. As always, if you want to support me in producing videos, you can leave a like to help boost its reach. If you haven't yet subscribed and hit the bell notification yet either though, You can also do so now to be alerted to new videos as they're released.